Welcome to the Amazing Authorities Podcast, where game changers, visionaries, and category leaders share how they built their brands, platforms, and global influence. Your host is Mitch Carson, international speaker, media strategist, and creator of the Instant Authority System. If you're ready to learn from those who've done it and want to become the go-to expert in your space, you're in the right place.
Aurora Winter is in the house today, and she talks about a myriad of topics, but we're going to focus on her unique skill set. Now, I've had other book coaches on interviews, conducting interviews in the past, but what makes her special is she wears two hats. You only see one head, but there are two hats. Aurora, welcome to the show today, and I'm going to share what your two hats are. You coach people in the book writing process, ideation, writing it. And I don't know if you ghostwrite or not. That would be a brave woman if you do. And then all the way through production. And you are an Amazon best-selling author yourself, but you do something that's rare. You also help them with fiction. It's an F word that I will never use. An approach.
Oh, what a nice introduction. I love that. I love writing fiction myself. My background's in drama and film and television. And I have helped a number of people with their fiction books, including an author who's got 2.5 million pages read and over 3,000 reviews on Amazon. He's got a legal thriller series called Jake Fox. And he liked working with me so much that we went from writing one book to writing 9.
So he's a John Grisham.
He's a John Grisham. He actually is a litigation attorney. And because he's so busy, he likes getting the VIP help of working one-on-one with me. And I'm glad to help.
Well, 3,000 reviews. That's huge. As an author myself and clients who've written books in the past, I mean, if you can get 10 reviews, you'll get some eyeballs. Ideally, most of the book experts that I talk to, and I belong to networks of that type, they shoot for 50 plus, then you're in the game. But thousands? Oh my word.
People really like the thriller genre. So they snap up his book. I mean, we do one promotion and he sold 50,000 books in a week. So it's really hot. Like my fantasy book has got over 300 reviews.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But
that's huge.
There's much more demand, I think, for fiction than nonfiction, but it's much more complicated to write than nonfiction. You come from a business background.
100% nonfiction.
Nonfiction is so much easier because you can drop in a story that's compelling and then you change your mind and go, okay, no, I'd rather share a different story. I'm helping a client write a book called Rich, Fit, and Fulfilled. And I had a story about his car wash. And I thought, no, I'll take that out. I'm going to put in a story about his first plane. And you don't have to change the rest of the book. You've just changed a page. But with fiction, if you change something, you have to go all the way through the book. If you decide that character got shot and their arm is in a sling, you got to work that all the way through. So it's a lot more troublesome.
I would imagine. And this is a stat, and I was looking for stats. 10% of the books sold are nonfiction. So that means 90%, maybe not 90% because there are, there's fiction, nonfiction. There might be some other guides which would probably fall in the nonfiction category, but 90% of the sales are fiction.
What's interesting is the fiction model, you're primarily making money from the books.
Correct.
Although you can be a speaker, and in the case of my client who's a litigation attorney, it's quite interesting to see how his brand has been improved by being a best-selling, award-winning author.
Oh, so he's not a pen name.
No, his real name is Michael Stockham. And so now when people are considering what lawyer to hire, they're like, well, these guys all have good qualifications. They all kind of look the same, except this one, Michael Stockham. He's interesting because he's a best-selling author. So he gets 7-figure deals because he's more interesting to work with. So even if you write fiction, sometimes it can grow your business as well. But certainly with nonfiction that's crafted strategically, as we were talking before we started recording, I think it's super important for people who are experts or can solve a problem to have a book on Amazon. Amazon is the #2 search engine. And if you write a good book and have a clear title explaining the problem that you're the answer to, you can get clients from around the world. So the main thing with a nonfiction book is not making money from the book. It's attracting your ideal client and efficiently repelling people who are not your ideal client.
Oh, I love that. That I would like to say is when I advise people crafting, I work with speakers. When you craft your elevator pitch, when people ask you what you do, it's not about what you do, it's about deselecting the people who aren't qualified to do business with you. That's as important as it is defining who your market is. Would you agree?
Exactly right. Exactly right. So I wrote this book, Turn Words into Wealth, so people can get all the help they need. It's I got a decade of my publishing experience. They can even get it for free at turnwordsintowealth.com because after working with everybody, I realized, you know what? I only have this one life and I'm going to use it to make the biggest difference that I can. So I only work with thought leaders or experts or successful business owners because I know I can make the biggest difference with them.
Let me see your book again. Hold that up. You were so fast. You've got badges and gold seals. One is Amazon bestseller. I would imagine #1. Is that a #1 Amazon bestseller?
I actually didn't put the Amazon bestseller. It's got Outstanding Nonfiction Book of the Year.
Oh,
It's
nice.
this award, and this is an international bestseller award. I've got a bunch more awards on the back.
Oh,
And
tell me about those. I haven't seen all those. My gosh, I love
yeah,
badges and buttons
do
and
you?
ribbons.
Let's see. We got a Pinnacle Book Award, a Literary Titan Book Award, a American Fiction Award. Yeah, a number of awards. It was fun for me. I liked applying for awards because that is another way of marketing, and it actually works to tie into our topic of neuroscience. So most people don't understand the neuroscience behind communication, and we can use this book as an example. So you want to first communicate what topic are we in? Turn words into wealth. That's the first thing. It's like the subject line on your email. But the second thing that we need to do in order to communicate effectively with neuroscience is say who else thinks this is a good idea? And awards can do that.
Big time.
Being on your podcast does that because it's like Aurora thinks Mitch is worth talking to, and Mitch thinks Aurora is worth talking to. Social proof is
Mm.
very powerful, as you and I both know.
No, I love it. I love it.
And then the third thing, and it sequence does matter. The third thing, then you can get into your content. And a lot of experts get into their content first, and they haven't clued the person in into what category are we in, or who else thinks this is a good idea. So those are just the 3 steps to communicating effectively, harnessing and leveraging neuroscience.
No, that's great. And I would love to read your book, and I will, and I'll write a review because
Thank you.
they are valuable. And all those badges, I call it peacocking. And the
Yes.
peacock, the beautiful male peacock who's got the most color and shakes his tail attracts the female. And it works in the animal kingdom, and we are just animals with a conscience. So that's hopefully, unless
Well,
someone's a sociopath. But
it-
yes.
this book, my fantasy book,
Uh-huh.
won a young adult best book, Reader's Choice Award. And yesterday, I've written the third book in the series that comes out August 2025. It also won the Reader's Choice Award. So it's fun to apply for
Oh,
awards.
and you got all those awards on the back.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and get that validation and get some nice reviews. So that's something I help my clients do as well.
That's awesome. See, now that's distinctive. That's distinctive because there are book coaches that promise certain aspects, but all of those awards, I've learned something new today. I've heard about some of these awards and I just said, let's focus on the bestseller component. You've now added awards. You've peacocked. You've got great feathers
Well,
in your tail.
you're a best-selling author. You can be insecure about your writing, and it's nice to read a review that says, "Wow, this was outstanding. This I'm going to recommend this. This was empowering or useful or insightful." And you're like, "Oh yeah, thank you."
Well, there's a lot of work that goes into birthing a book. I
Oh
don't know
my.
if you're a parent, but I liken it. I never had kids until I birthed books. And gosh, it was painful for it took longer than 9 months in the early days. Now you can, publish a book very quickly through the aid of AI. What are your opinions about AI? Because you've got obviously a journalism background yourself. You've written books, both in fiction and nonfiction. That is commendable. Do you use AI today?
I think what's really interesting about AI is all the fear it engenders. And if you have never used it, you probably imagine that it can write a book for you in a weekend, but I promise you it'll be a horrible book.
Sure.
So I think it's important to lean into whatever tools are available to
Mhm.
us and to notice that garbage in, garbage out, right? So I think it's really important, especially in the age of AI, for us to lean into the importance of our own stories. And they're really valuable. But then we can use AI to polish, to make sure we don't have typos, to do some research, to add some um, data to the stories. So yeah, I use AI. I use Pro Writing Aid. I also, spell check extensively, research extensively. And you have to also be careful because it'll make things up.
It does. You have to fact check.
You have to fact check. So, how I help my clients create books is we have a plan for the book and then I interview them. So, most people who've got anything going on love to talk about everything they've been through, their challenges, their successes, but most people don't understand the hero's journey. So, I have a background in film and TV, and I know, as you would know, that it's actually important to share the struggle because that makes the success even sweeter. And people are drawn to other people if it's all shiny and beautiful and perfect, it's a little bit off-putting. So, but when you can share your hero's journey, the challenges you've overcome, and then you should share the success at the end, your ideal clients will fall in love with you. So what I do is I interview the client, then I have that transcript, and then polish it up. Either I write it myself or we go back and forth with the client, or sometimes I use AI to polish it up, but it's based on the client's own words, their own stories. And that makes it super valuable. And that makes it stand out. It's not just like typing something
No, it's very good. And the
generic.
other benefit of interviewing them is you have all that content that can be repurposed later for social.
Exactly right. Which is a big thing. I find most people, they put all this effort into their book if they're working by themselves. You may know this. The average first-time author spends 3.5 years writing their book.
Oh, yeah.
And they spend about 3.5 minutes thinking about launching it. Whereas the way that I do it, we're creating all of this video content, which can be sliced and diced to make hundreds or even thousands of pieces of content before the book is launched or after the book is launched so that people can blast it through all social media channels and really share their message. That drives sales of the book. But even without people buying the book, as you would know, you're an authority. If you have a book, the root of the word authority is author. And when people know that you have a book and they see that you've got awards and you've got a bunch of reviews and it looks respectable, they may work with you, hire you, get you to come speak or go to your event, even without reading your book, because they hear about it on podcasts or they watch social media clips and they know, hey, he or she has written a book that makes them an authority.
Totally get it. Tell me about your media background. I know you're in discussions with BBC, which is big. You've been on a lot of the big stations. Where did that come from? Your being an author or other means?
Actually, I was a screenwriter before I was an author. I'm actually an award-winning screenwriter.
Okay.
I worked as head of development for Canada's largest film and television production company in Toronto. At the
Okay.
time was called Atlantis Films. And I had a $1.5 million development budget just for screenplays to be written. So I would work with these amazing screenwriters. Oversaw about 250 hours of television programming. And then I started my own film and television production company with a partner in London, England. We raised $5 million, made 8 films. And then I realized, wait a minute. It takes millions of dollars to create a movie. A book is
Oh,
much more manageable. So I went back to my first love, which was books.
wow. Well, you've experienced all facets of the media world.
Yeah,
And now we're on a podcast. I have the
I know,
television
right?
background as well. I mean, I was a pitchman on a channel called Home Shopping Network out of Florida. when there were about 5 million daily viewers.
Wow.
Today, I think it pales by comparison because, business changes and Amazon has destroyed most of the businesses because they have their own
Yeah.
programs today, which eclipse it. But TV was big. And Aurora, I'll tell you a funny story. I was in a networking group. Well, I had a network lunch. I was in my ads guy, the one who runs my Facebook ads for events here, wanted to introduce me to another person that knew webinars. He was 28 years old. And I talked to him about what I do. And then I have my show on NBC here in Vegas. And I said, have you ever seen NBC? Have you ever seen my show or anything like? He says, I've never watched television.
Yeah.
He was 28 years old.
Yeah.
He's only watched YouTube, and that's it.
Yeah.
I realized, oh my gosh, the world has changed.
Yeah.
Getting in newspapers was a big deal. He's never seen a newspaper. He's never read it. That's what grandpa did. Then I told him how old I was. He said, you're my grandpa's age. I said, thank you
Wow.
very much. I don't like you anymore.
Well, it's so interesting. Stephen Colbert's show recently being canceled, the late show. But Joe Rogan is thriving. So there's
Huge.
just a shift from legacy media to the new media. And that's something that I think we should all notice and lean into. It is what it
Yes.
is, so why not lean into it? So you're smart. You've got a podcast. I've started a YouTube channel called Strategic Basics, as you can see the sign in the back. And here's what I think is really useful. If you have a book on Amazon, that's the number 2 search engine.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, you will then have the book listed on Goodreads. So Goodreads is one of the data sources that ChatGPT looks to. So
Oh, yes.
number 1 search engine, I think, is shifting from Google to Chat and similar.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to have the 1, 2, 3 punch, in my opinion. Um, YouTube is huge. YouTube is the number 2 search engine. I'm sorry, did Amazon is number 3 and number 1
Sure.
is well, SEO turning to GEO with AI. So if you have a book, the good thing about Amazon is people who go on Amazon are ready to buy something. They usually
Yes.
have their credit card already installed. So if you have a book on Amazon, I notice that even if somebody spends just a few dollars on a book, they're a much more qualified prospect than if they've just watched stuff for free. On YouTube is a great way. People are watching for free. They're not necessarily buying, but that's a good way for them to find out about you. And if
Mhm.
if you then combine all those 3 together, you will show up on the number 1, number 2, and number 3 search engines. Market
That's so true.
domination.
Yes, you've got to play the AI SEO game.
Exactly right.
And I was just in a conference for 8 days in Thailand that ended last week, and it was all about that topic. And it's amazing how the world is changing. And I was speaking about podcasts
Yeah.
and in the marketing, and I've had to pivot. You either pivot or perish in this
Pivot or
world.
perish. Exactly.
Yes.
That's a good soundbite.
Yeah, well, it's true, and I came up with it. I loved the hard consonants, and you have to shift or you die. If you are in the buggy whip business, you better get into using that buggy whip in a different way, or shift to cars and electric cars, and you've got to evolve.
Publish or perish. That could be your next book.
Yeah, well, it is publish or perish, or pivot and perish.
Pivot and perish.
Pivot or perish.
Yeah. Pivot
Or
or
publish,
perish.
publish or perish. Yes,
Yeah.
it's another option too. It's like
That
you
sounds
either
good.
publish or perish. That is the truth. I used publish or perish because professors in universities have to publish, or they can't maintain tenure. They
Exactly
must
right.
publish.
Exactly right. And one of the things I like to share with people is the value of the story, as I'm always like
Mm.
looking for data. So I'm not going to ask you this question because you probably already know the answer, but it was very interesting. A book called Significant Objects did a
Mm.
test. They put 100 distinct objects on eBay with a story or without a story. And they were even put like PS, this is an experiment. They were transparent about what they were doing. And some of the stories were written by professionals, some amateurs, some were hypey, some were even negative. But what the story added was meaning. So human beings are meaning-seeking creatures. So for example, this pot mitt, I remember coming home from school and my grandmother would make chocolate chip cookies. She would take them out of the oven with this pot mitt. She's passed on. You can buy the pot mitt. Now, how much more did those pot mitts and other objects sell with a story or without a story? You don't get the grandma and you don't get the cookies. You still get the same pot mitt with a story or without a story. What do you think?
Oh, the stories probably 3 times.
Yeah, most people
What
would
was the
guess
number? What
it
was
was
the difference?
27 times.
Oh my gosh. I'm
20,
not shocked, but I am wowed by the difference.
shocking, right? So if you're neglecting to share stories, you could be leaving so much money on the table.
I would love to. Where was that research? I want to look that up.
It's in a book called Significant Objects.
Significant objects.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a cool study because I'm always looking for data to back up why stories matter so much.
I'm
And
going to look that up.
sometimes we, even myself, I like things to be concise, to get to the point, but sometimes you can make it so concise that you missed the story,
Yes.
right? So we want to keep the heart of it.
I love that. I love that story that sells stories and the value of story-based selling. 27 times the control of having no information versus adding. Well, here's another story because I love this topic, this perfect guest opportunity. Dentist A has gone to the same school as Dentist B. They're best buddies, they're golf buddies. Dentist A writes for the local town paper. Dentist A also is the weekly health expert for the local ABC affiliate in Wichita. So I'm picking a small town. Okay, well, let's go to Edmonton since you're Canadian versus Toronto will be the big city. In Edmonton, they're both dentists in Edmonton. And Dentist A has a reel of all of his media appearances, newspaper, magazine, radio shows in the waiting room
Yeah,
before the patients come in for their drill and fill dentistry.
yeah,
Who gets to charge more money and with greater or with greater sell through? The dentist that has embraced media and feathers or the one that has not? They're both
definitely,
equally qualified. They're best buddies.
definitely the one with the feathers, the one
Yes.
who's got the credibility on the wall.
Oh, and he's written a book as well.
And in fact, I even can add to your story because I
Sure.
helped a dentist write a book, and the result was they went from 1.5 million to 6.5 million in their practice.
In over what period of
And
time?
it was about 2 years.
2 years. That's huge.
Now, I'm not saying the book was all of that, but they also became paid public speakers. English was not their first language. They got much more clear on what they stood for. But pulling back the curtain, part of why that was so important, the book's called Keys to a Healthy Smile After 40, because I strategically asked them, where's your biggest profit point? And they revealed, oh, well, when we're dealing with people who are over 40, it can be five, 10, $20,000. But they were marketing like every other dentist for like the free exam, and they were getting clients for $200. So
Correct.
by doubling down on their messaging around their expertise for people over 40 to have a beautiful smile, they grew their business from 1.5 to $6 million.
How did they use the book?
They used it as a lead magnet. So they gave it out as a gift to their patients. And the good thing with the book is it's much easier to say, here's my dentist, here's their book, then and that makes a very compelling referral. Otherwise, people they forget who was your dentist anyway. But if you've got a book, there is a silent, I think you've got a book along the
Called
same.
Silent Salesman. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. I wrote
Talk
about that
about that.
exact topic years ago. That was
Yeah.
published with John Wiley and Sons. That
Yeah.
came through the urging of Dan Kennedy because
Hmm.
he and many of his members were clients of mine because I owned a promotional ad agency in Los Angeles during that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Later
That's
sold.
that's what I really like about the actual physical book.
Yes.
Because people sometimes don't even open ebooks or they forget that they have them. But
And your
when
book is thick. Your book is thick. How many words? Let me see the
it's
spine.
about 55,000
Yeah,
words.
that's I was gonna guess 50, but because
Yeah.
of how thick it is. Yeah,
It's
that's
not
a
it's
I
a
gotta buy it.
proper book.
That's a proper book. I've got to read it and do that. Yes. That's
Yeah.
great. So
But
where
what
do
I
people
found
get
is that,
go ahead.
sorry,
Sorry.
just to finish off on that point,
Yeah.
I found that if people have a copy of my book, they might contact me right away. They might contact me 5 years later. It's like what you've said in your book. The book sits on their shelf like a silent salesman.
It does. And I'll say this. I've got to piggyback on it because we could share stories and this is what people can learn. And I'm such a fan of books and I'm in the process of writing a couple more in a series. I had retired for a period of time. I was living in Peru, South America.
Hmm.
I had a book, The Silent Salesman, out there. And all of a sudden, I was sitting in the place I was renting in Lima, Peru, and my phone dinged. And I knew the sound of that ding. That means someone paid me.
Haha.
And I had a link inside my book. It says for a free, no, not for a free, for a consult, it's $1,000 to talk about your marketing, your direct marketing. The book was already done. This is it was published in 2008. So this was 2012. I was retired at that time, just living down there, traveling the world,
Nice.
and so this is what
4 years
13.
later, boom,
No,
boom.
13. Yeah. So all these years later, it was already off the bookshelves. It was in the bookshelves in Barnes and Noble at that time. It was a bestseller, international bestseller, niche category. And the last I thought was this. So what happened? It sat on the shelf, and that's the lasting power of books. You don't know when. You said something
Yeah.
key. I got on the phone. I made the $1,000, gave the 1 hour consult. Then it turned into $64,000 of business consulting. I
Yeah.
unretired because this client was willing to pay me because my
Nice.
elevated status and credibility of being a published author was there. And I helped design a whole direct mail campaign for this
Mhm.
company. And as a result, out of that, 3 referrals came. And before I knew it, I had consulting income for 6 months. And that's all I signed because I wanted to get retired again of $44,000 a month for 6 months.
Wow. So that's how one book can turn
One
into
book did it.
44,000 a
3
month.
more clients in the same month came out of the woodwork to hire me.
Okay, when I pivoted to business, you talked about pivot or perish. I pivoted using this little book, Marketing Fast Track, the little book that launched a new business,
Uh-huh.
because I was shifting my business. People kept saying, "How did you get on radio? How did you get on TV? How did you write so many books?" And so I'm like, well, maybe people want my help with marketing. So I wrote this little book based on a 1 hour interview.
Okay.
It's a very short book, and it's a cleaned up transcript. I haven't hidden that it's a conversation, but this book brought me $250,000 of new business in 90 days. So
Awesome.
that's the power of a nonfiction book. So exactly right.
Oh, I'm sure we could share more studies. And it's also gotten me speaking gigs that brought me a lot of money. I'll
Mhm.
shock people to say how much, but it opened doors that would have never been open had I not been a published
Well,
author.
you teach how to speak to sell, so I'm sure you made
Yes,
a lot of money when you were
I
speaking.
made a lot of money, multiple 6 figures out of one gig.
Yeah.
And I just shared what my consulting income was for a period of time because of one book being in the right place. So thank you, Dan Kennedy. Even though I gave him a lot of money, it paid many times over from that one client.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
how do people get in touch with you, Aurora?
All right, so people can get in touch with me by going to samepagepublishing.com.
Same
Same
Page Publishing?
samepagepublishing.com because I come on the same page as my clients. I'm on their team
Got
and they
it.
can sign up for a free business breakthrough call with me. I'm not charging $1,000 like you. I
Okay.
maybe have to increase my price, but for free, people who are qualified can chat with me, or they can grab a copy of the book Turn Words into Wealth, available on Amazon or wherever books are sold. Or if you're really tight on budget, you can get the copy for free at turnwordsintowealth.com. You'll get the ebook at
I
Turn Words
love it.
into Wealth. Yeah.
Well, you've been a great guest, and I look forward to repeating this. There are more topics we can delve into, and I'd like to invite you as a guest in the future one more time. And I would be very privileged to be on your upcoming podcast because I know it's in the works
Well,
and
we
it's a great
barely
pleasure.
scratched the surface. So yeah,
Well, when it's time,
let's
I'd be
repeat.
happy to come in and share with you also, Aurora. Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
time today.
Thank you.
And I look forward to our next connection.
Thanks for tuning in to the Amazing Authorities Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps more experts like you rise to the top. For behind-the-scenes access and free resources to boost your authority, head to mitchcarson.com. Until next time, stay amazing.